Hi, my name is Steve. I am the owner of Bad Apple Amplifiers, and I made this Shaun Verreault boombox out of the brain and conception of this guy to the right of me. And we are a Canadian amplifier company, and we are proud that we are a maple leaf from Saskatchewan, I should say.
I'm Shaun Verreault. I'm the guitar player and singer in the band Widemouth Mason. I've gone through a wild ride of being a player and trying out unorthodox things with strange instruments, and have really loved getting under the hood and tweaking and trying to make hybridizations and innovations and strangeness to follow my muse down the path of. And this amp is a version of that. It's a continuation of that not only tonally captures a bunch of different things that I like all in one place, but also celebrates the boombox that I grew up learning to play music in front of. That was such a part of my life as a young kid, learning the guitar in the 80s. So super proud and happy to finally be sitting in front of this thing after almost 1,000 days. That's that, right?
Guitar demo, okay? We did it. Fine.
Someone finally thought to do that.
So 980 days later.
Almost 1,000 days later, from meeting, hanging out at a gig, you posing the question of, well, what would
Shaun play?
Like?
What would Shaun like? What does Shaun think?
No pedals at all, man. I've always felt really at home on tweed basements, on black and silver panel super reverbs, that kind of thing. And I love the chime and there's note separation, but things are really touch sensitive. I like being able to, if I stroke the string gently, it sounds like it. If I really dig in, it sounds like it.
Stand by.
Oh, yeah. Or are we getting some nice?
Alleviates.
Good thinking.
It's already air conditioning.
Headaches for you? Yeah, there's already air conditioning.
Oh yeah. Oh.
There we go.
Let's start from the beginning.
Moving on. Here we go.
Next
Yeah.
question.
I love what those amps do, and sometimes I've also enjoyed playing through, more sort of EL34 or EL84 amps. The chunk and the often closed back nature of those, and the way that those project, where when you go like this, it goes thunk and you hear things really move.
Right.
That doesn't always happen on, the tweed amps and the blackface and stuff that I often live on. So I've always loved that transition period of when the Bassman turned into the early Marshalls and that kind of stuff, where the chime and the chunk, but the touch sensitivity remained, and an idea of an amp that could do those things while also capturing the vibe of, when I first started playing guitar as a kid in my room, it was me and a guitar and my little tiny practice amp and a tape deck.
What was the practice
boombox
amp that you used to play?
A little PV Audition 30.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that had, saturation, and I think it had a fat switch.
I had a PV Rage.
Oh, yeah, the
Rages
Rage was
were
good.
Yeah.
This is a PV lap steel that I've altered somewhat, but it's been a part of my life for a long time, the PV stuff. So, but that would be behind me, and what I was facing was my tape player, and I would, rewind, play, try and catch a thing that Stevie Ray or Jimmy or Prince did while I was playing along with it,
Right.
or taping stuff off the radio. It was just, that was what was in my face while I was learning to play. So I thought, I've never seen an amp that captures that vibe, and aesthetically with some other features built into it that could live in those places. So it was nice to talk to you and go, okay, I have some outlandish ideas.
Outrageous.
Are you willing to follow me down this strange path? And you were like, oh, I have some ideas to add to that too.
It's totally ridiculous, but it actually ended up working out. You had a big list. It was like a grocery list of this is, I must have this for the salad, and I must have this kind of mushroom for the dressing, and all that goes in there. It was a challenging job, but up to the task, and we discussed so much. Between emails, late nights, and we would stay up texting each other. So this amplifier captures some of those things that you wanted. Blackface, into the tweeds, and with a little bit of British and American kind of all in one deal.
Yeah. My favorite guitars are the ones that are like the Nighthawk is like, it's like my favorite things about a Fender and my favorite things about a Gibson mixed together.
Right.
And my 70s Tele Deluxe I play is like the Gibsonist. It's the Fenderist Gibson, and this is the Gibsonist Fender.
I would have liked to have heard that thing through this amp.
And so I like those things that can harness a little bit of both worlds. And I, thinking of using this amp on its own and in concert with one of the other Fender 410 amps that I typically use, it was like, what part of the equation do I not have? And it was something that has that chunky, punchy low end that woofs where the amps I love chime, but a lot of the woofy amps don't have that touch sensitivity.
So what did you grow up listening to that had that kind of stuff? Like, I wouldn't think of Stevie Ray Vaughan as wanting to have a lot of chunk behind his tone.
Yeah.
So what is it that you listen to that has that chunk that you are wanting out of an amp?
Well, it was this mix of, growing up in the 80s and discovering...
Did you grow your hair long?
At one point, I had really, really long hair. And I was, mad about Stevie Ray and the path he sent so many of us on. Like, if you like me, go back and check out the Three Kings and check out this, and
sure.
And then deeper into down that rabbit hole. But at the same time, I was also loving Living Colour and bands like that, where the saturation was maybe more than I've played with in the Masons even, but that was a pivotal tone in my head. So
Vernon Reid was
wow.
huge
You
met him
influence.
too, haven't you?
Yeah. We got to hang out at NAMM some, and he's such a thoughtful a philosopher, a kind of a sage of thinking musically. Right. So that was always in there, and then getting to travel around and play through a bunch of different amps, it revealed that like this is the comfortable home base, but then this is what I would like to have seep into that as well. So that's when we started talking about, could an amp react like a tweed amp sometimes, but then be more refined and act like a black or silver. I have a 68 Super Reverb with a silver face that has a
Does it have
mix
the
of
aluminum
black and
grill
silver. It
around
does,
it?
yeah.
Okay,
It's the drip
right.
edge,
Right,
and
okay. Yeah.
I've often liked having those, a basement and that together, and the way that
It was
they
a Super
speak.
Reverb?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's where the 10-inch speaker came from. That
Yeah.
sound that you like.
Right.
Which is what you wanted in your amplifier, 10-inch speakers.
I like the way that they break up, but they often won't give you that thump that we're talking about, which
And
I
that
think
came in
is
the design of the cabinet, open back, but kind of semi-sealed to give it a little bit
Yeah.
more pump.
little pump.
Little
You
bit
feel the
more
note
boom.
push out. Yeah. And then I thought it was really clever the way, that you were like knowing the band and having heard stuff going, okay, for this type of song, you're going to need this, but maybe another input to be able to get this
Sure.
kind of a tone.
That was definitely the thought process. I knew that you were going to have these instruments. I knew that there was going to be a thwacky, honky lap steel with a lot of rich low end. So that was kind of how the channels were chosen, and they, you can think about it that they might be traditional tone stacks, but everything was really tuned by ear. As I was playing a guitar and I got my hands on lap steels and Les Pauls, I was thinking, I didn't really know exactly how your Gibson sounded, but I knew there was going to be some chunk. So as I would play, I would change capacitor values, change resistor values, just on the tone stack to see how this is going to play out. And like we talked about, it's kind of like we were making you a suit.
Yeah,
But you never
with me
sat
not
in it.
there.
With you not there. So sure, there's little things, maybe the hem could be taken in a little bit, but I think everything that went into those two channels were very much influenced by everything that you are as a musician, as an artist, and as a guitar player, and specifically the instruments that you choose to play with as your paintbrushes.
Yeah, and then capturing the vibe. It was funny the way that the discussion went. Like, okay, should we make it an actual tape so that it's like a tape echo and there's a delay? Well, those fail when they're horizontal. So putting them vertically, it's not going to work. But the idea of this, I can't wait to be on a stage and have that staring out at me. I love the little themes. This. You thought of that one all on your own, putting that on there, and I remember we were discussing the counter, like what little details make it, really a tribute and celebration of those boom boxes that we sat in front of, carried around. I could probably almost put it on my shoulder and walk around, or
We're gonna have
almost
to
do
get
the
that
say
photo.
anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, this is the Shaun Verreault signature model. Obviously, I don't know if the camera's going to zoom in. It says Shaun Verreault Boombox version 1. And this captures really who you are as an artist over the years, kind of where you came from. It says Toontown here in the corner. You know why it says Toontown?
I do.
I don't. Tell me more.
Growing up in Saskatoon, and that's also where the 306 on the counter, the area code, comes in, because that's where I was sat in front of my boombox, learning how to play guitar, taping songs off the radio, recording my first forays into songwriting and hearing them back. It would have been the first thing I heard my guitar playing come out of, long before I was even a singer, was recording and then pressing play and hearing it come back. It was something I rediscovered during COVID that I'd forgot about since I was 15 or 16. Yeah, it was sitting either with headphones in or in a room with something where I was playing, rather than playing along with a metronome, rather than not yet playing with the band or not being able to play with the band during the pandemic, playing along with records taught me so much about timing.
And you went back to that during COVID.
I went back to it, and it would be like, put the headphones on, imagine you're on stage with this band, and I'd put on a shuffle playlist, so it would be like, whatever comes up, you have to think of something that fits
Do you have a
to
cassette
play.
player at home?
I do still. I have a little, one of those handheld rectangular ones with the handle that slides out of it that I like to. There's something about capturing ideas on that that's a really linear progression. And then you can't just jump in and find something easily. You can look at the counter and try and figure out where it is, but you put a different tape in, the counter goes to a different place. And so I like you just happen upon what you happen upon and recording it that way. This thing that you can carry around, it's like, you can have a million books on your phone, but having a physical book that travels around with you becomes your companion a little bit. It becomes something that lives with you for a while. So yeah, that was a huge part of my musical awareness, was just sat in front of there trying to figure out how to make those sounds that those people were making, and to celebrate that with the design of this, and to work with someone who was so open to, okay, let's play with that. We can show the Standal part of it in a second. We'll have to reset for a little bit, but I like how it was also a mix of, let's try some stuff that, to my knowledge, hasn't been tried before, and see if we can make it work.
There was a few people that went into this, I'm sure you talked to people, but like the logistics and the mechanical end of things, I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own. And I called on a great colleague friend of mine out of Texas, name's Jeff McMurray, and he and I worked together on this, trying to figure things out. And he is the actual guy who came up with this physical box, because he is an absolute ninja for wrapping Tolex. Jeff, that's a shout out to you.
It's super tight and clean.
Amazing,
yeah.
He is such a artisan when it comes to Tolexing and working with wood.
It's a good amp when you go, you know what, I don't need a clone in front of it.
Good point. Yeah, no, it covers that already.